And a good evening. Welcome to Sooner Limited Modified Series live on Dirt Track Racing Network. And we've got some hosts lined up for you tonight. We welcome back this evening Damian Bean to the series. And Damian and Larry are going to take the show over. And Steve, well, he's going to, I don't know, I guess sit back and pop popcorn, I suppose.
Drink beer.
I'm going to turn it all over to you guys. It's all you.
All right. Well, good evening, fans, and welcome to another night's episode, a Thirsty Thursday evening edition of the Sooner Limited Modified Series show. I want to welcome aboard a guy that's becoming a good friend of mine and get to work with a little bit out there in the racing world, Mr. Damian Bean. Hello, Damian.
Hey, Larry. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Yourself?
Oh, I'm just enjoying this Oklahoma allergy season.
Hey, who's got their stuff on? Turn your stuff down. Turn your Facebook down. Anyway, it wasn't me either. Anyway, yeah,
wasn't me.
Pollen's pretty bad, I guess, out there. I can't tell. It doesn't bother me, but I can see all the trees starting to bloom and stuff, and I know that a lot of you folks are going to be suffering pretty bad from allergies.
Yeah, I went to work this morning.
Other than that, how you doing?
Oh, I'm good. Since we talked last, or since I was last on Dirt Track Racing Network and on the show with you, my wife and I gave birth to our second daughter in December, and she's doing good. Everything's great there, and just
congratulations.
Oh, thank you. I stepped away from a lot of things for a while and took care of business at home, but can't wait to get 2018 started, man. It's going to be a good season. Got a busy schedule, as do you, sir.
I'm excited about having you aboard with me, both here on the radio show and out there. We'll be doing a lot of shows together in a bunch of different places. Enid, for instance, we're definitely going to do a bunch of shows up there together. And heck, I really don't know where all you're going to pop up at.
Yeah, I made a surprise visit to Meeker last weekend for the first race of 2018 for the Sooner Limited Modified Series at the Spring Nationals. And man,
that's right. It did a reason for our show. How about that? That is a nice little segue there.
That was. You like that?
I like that. So,
yeah.
What did you think about the show? Well, okay, first of all, I believe that's your first trip out to the track since it's changed configuration. Is that right?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
And what did you think?
Well, I knew looking at it just visually before the races even started that it really reminded me of a typical Midwest bull ring, and it's the perfect banking. It's it's just the track's racy. I like it. It put on great racing. That red clay, hence the name Red Dirt Raceway.
Absolutely.
I liked the track really a whole lot the first couple of times I went there during the old configuration, but that new configuration, that track's a whole new beast, and
it is.
I think that track's going to grow a lot in popularity and car count as the word gets out of just how good a racing that track was on.
And it's racy. Oh, it's racy. 3 and 4 wide multiple times out there Saturday night and Sunday.
Yeah, definitely. They was getting after it. Real good heat races, good B feature, and really enjoyed calling the B feature. That was the first race I've called since I've been here in Oklahoma, and like you said, they was 3 and 4 wide in the B, in the A, a lot. Just put on some great racing. I wasn't able to be there Sunday night. I had obligations up at Enid. We had our first play day of 2018, and we have one every Sunday all the way up until opening night, which is the 31st of this month. So there's going to be cars on the racetrack every weekend in Enid from last weekend up to opening night. So, man, it's close, man. I'm ready.
Yeah, the season's all up on us right now. Heck, well, that was some good racing out there Saturday night and Sunday there at Red Dirt Raceway for sure. And I really appreciated you being there because it freed me up to do a lot of things. Like we were able to do some things we've never done out there before. We were able to do some in the pit interviews live, as it happened, and of course I was able to do some on-track stuff that I can't normally do because of having to run back and forth and do everything. So I really appreciated having you there, and it was some good racing. Sunday was a completely different animal from Saturday. Don't want to just go into a whole lot of it right now. We're going to talk a lot about it with Cale, so I want to kind of let him do a little of that, and Robert also. Our guests tonight, by the way, I should say that our guests tonight are the winners of Saturday night's opening round of the Spring Nationals at Red Dirt Raceway. Of course, Robert Elliott from Clinton, Oklahoma. He won the Sooner Limited Modified Series A feature that night. In fact, he led every lap of that feature. And then spanked him bad, smoking and all. Sunday night, Cale Westover, our second guest tonight, our first guest actually is Cale Westover. He was the winner Sunday night of the big event, and he led all but 2 laps, which he got to take home a pretty nice little chunk of money because of that. I think it was $3,800. Is that right, Steve?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, $3,800. That's not a bad payday at all. Of course, he earned it. He had to work for it. So those are our guests tonight, Cale Westover and Robert Elliott, and I look forward to talking to them.
Yeah, and a big hats off to you, Steve, for being able to put that lap money together and gather up all those sponsors. I mean, man, what a way to kick off your 2018 season. A guy takes home $3,800 for going out and having some fun. I mean, man, it's just a good sign of the times. You're starting the season off on the right foot. Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, absolutely right on that. Absolutely right on that. It does a lot because it solidifies the fact that the series is serious. That we're going to be here a while. We're going to do this, and it lets them know that there's the opportunity when we do a special event to take home some bucks. And we really appreciate everybody that sponsored laps. And I just happen to have the list here, so while we've got a few minutes, if nobody minds, I'm going to go ahead and thank them individually and personally. Red Dirt Raceway, of course, we want to thank Cody Brewer and his folks, not just for holding the race, but for sponsoring lap 1, and also for putting up the extra 1,000 had anybody won both nights. Cody and the track had another $1,000 that they were going to throw in the pot. That didn't happen, but we appreciate them doing that and making that offer. Jenny Stone from Pittstown, Oklahoma, sponsored one of our laps. Of course, Steve Slater and his family. Red Dirt Diesel and Jared Baird. J&R Commercial Radiator. United Ford PDC. Steve's Auto Machine. Steve's dad. Thank you, Steve Slater. We did that. J&M Dirt Contractors, Jimmy Wright, Western Flyer Race Cars, Johnny and Paula Rauschenberg did a lap in memory of Darren Ernst. Thank you to them. Choctaw Liquor Depot, CNC Racing, Jerry Cantrell and Kim Cantrell, they've sponsored a lap. We appreciate that very much. Dale's 81 Electric LLC, that's Dale Lewis, Lou LaRue, Chelsea, and Amanda. FB Designs and Knockout Graphics. I sponsored a lap. And Gibbons Trucking LLC, David Gibbons. And also Richard White. Richard White sponsored a lap. Thanks, Richard. And we appreciate everybody that kicked in and helped out, and we hope that you felt like you got your money's worth. We tried to mention the lap sponsors as many times as we could and remind everybody over and over that the laps were being sponsored. So hopefully it worked out for everybody.
Larry, I do want to say something. I really do appreciate you mentioning those laps every lap. You're calling the race and mentioning the sponsors for every lap. Man, you're pretty busy.
I don't ever want to do that again, honestly. No, it was hard because it's like you had to say the last sponsor because I promised that I would, and not only that, but we just had to, And at the same time, I'm still wanting to do, who's first, who's second, who's third, especially once they started getting mixed up in there. Because sometimes it's hard to keep up with who's where.
Right.
I mean, it's pretty easy to keep up with who's number one, but after that, it gets a little crazy. But yeah, it was a job, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Hey, speaking of all those sponsors, High Tech Tactical came back on board with the series again this year, and once again, we're going to give away another rifle. We gave away that AR-15 last year. This year, a little bit different. We're going to be giving away a 270 Savage Trophy hunting rifle. Ticket prices are 1 for $10, 3 for $20, or 7 for $40. So you can get a hold of Steve via the website, email. You can go to Sooner Limited Modified Series at Facebook. Get a hold of him, and I'm looking at a picture of it right now. It's a pretty decent rifle. So definitely donate.
And I know welcome. I know there's a lot of deer hunters in Oklahoma, and I feel like that's going to be a really good raffle right there.
Oh, absolutely.
Also, while we're waiting for our guests to come on, which is probably a good time for us to mention the series sponsors, FB Designs, Hoosier Tires, Schoenfield Headers, Knockout Graphics, Mileage Racing Products, Bulletproof Products, Donco Plumbing, TCC, that's Total Custom Carbs and Dyno, 41 Shocks, Steve's Auto Machine, High Tech Tactical, who you just happened to mention, Images X2, and Ibex Race Bumpers. And while we're talking about sponsors, it's time for me to get up on my box and try to sell. So I'll do that. We need sponsors for the radio show. If you would be interested in sponsoring the Sooner Limited Modified Series radio show, please contact myself or Steve or Damien or Richard White. And we would be more than glad to discuss with you what sort of arrangement you want to do and all of that. So we'd appreciate it if you did that. Also, every once in a while, like several times a month, we do an open mic call-in show. And I was going to give you the phone number, and I keep it written down, and I don't know where it's at. Richie, are you on?
518-952-2944.
One more time.
That number, studio line is 518-952-2944. Bitches, gripes, and complaints, give us a call.
That's right. You've got something to say, you don't like what's going on, you want to talk about last week's race. Hey, we're more than willing to do that. 518-952-2944. So that's the number here at the show. And we should be just a couple of minutes away from our first guest, right?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Oh, looky there. Yeah. Hey, talk about timing. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show Mr. Cale Westover, the winner of Sunday night's main A feature main event, the Spring Nationals out at Red Dirt Raceway, the first race of the year for the Sooner Limited Modified Series. And Cale, you won it in pretty good fashion.
Yeah, we did. Friday we weren't. We all worked normal jobs, so we weren't able to show up for practice. So Saturday we kind of showed up a little bit behind the guys. Robert's stuff he had his stuff rolling Friday night. Obviously Saturday he almost lapped all of us. So man, we just kept going to the drawing board. My stuff was pretty good around the top on Saturday, and it really played into my car.
Right. Totally different Sunday from Saturday, am I right?
Yeah. Saturday, the track had a lot of moisture. Of course, it was at night.
Yep.
So around the bottom, we really didn't have enough gear in the car. We thought we would. And those guys actually had a little more gear than I did. You could obviously hear the RPMs and guys were turning. So, when it got around the top on Sunday, I had the perfect gear for the top. So it really played into my favor on Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday the weather didn't cooperate with us. It was windy as all heck. It was overcast. It was a combination of things that day. It was cold at times. The sun shined for a while, and the track just got really, really dry. And like you said, the only thing they could do was put some moisture in around the top, and they did that. And I did see a lot of guys.
Yeah, you know, the tracks, the day races are really tough.
You guys there?
This conference is being the organizer.
Oh, phone glitch.
We're back.
Okay, we're back.
Okay.
We're back.
So I don't know how much. Did we lose anything?
He was just starting to talk. And
Okay, well then I guess we'll start over. Hi, Cale. Welcome back to the show, or welcome to the show.
How back are we talking?
Oh, technology's great when it works.
I was practicing.
Technology's great when it works. Oh, gosh.
Okay, now let's see if Larry can remember the exact sequence he asked those questions.
No, I cannot remember the exact sequence I asked those questions. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to start with, okay, so congratulations on winning Sunday night. You had to work pretty hard at it. You had a really good race car. You led all but 2 laps. Take us back through it if you don't mind.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, Saturday the track had a lot of moisture around pretty much the whole track. So it was really around the bottom. It's a pretty short way around the track there. I couldn't get my car to turn on the bottom. Like I said, we worked on it throughout the night, and I just could not. I mean, I couldn't get it to stick down there like Robert and the B4. So Sunday come around and they kept watering the top. And I had just enough gear around the top, and I knew it was going to play into my favor. And we had a good draw. We didn't start on the pole, so I knew we would have a chance to start further up front if I went out there and performed in my heat race. And we did. It started a second row inside for Sunday. So, it all kind of plays into your favor. You really got to have some luck on your side. The 888 in front of me, I was real worried about him going to the top of the track. Friday night, he ran the top in his heat. He ran the top in the feature. And then Sunday, in his heat, he ran the top. So I just knew he was going to the top. And he didn't. So there was a little bit up there.
There were a lot of surprises both nights. I think, now I'm trying to remember, if I remember rightly, it was Saturday night. Seemed like you had a little problem on the start of the A feature. Am I right?
Yeah.
And Rose
I took off. Come out of 3 and 4. We were coming to the first lap, and I lost all power on the car. My gauges shut off.
Yeah.
I had no lights.
Yeah.
Jeff hit me.
It was obvious that your car just basically stopped, and Roselle had nowhere to go, and oh man, I know you had to feel it.
Yeah, he hit me pretty hard. I felt it, and then So I put the
thanks,
gas
Jeff.
back to the floor. Yeah, pretty much. I put it back to the floor and it took off, and I had no more issues. So I think what it was a grounding issue. We went through the car and we actually found a loose wire. You know, obviously we didn't have any problems Sunday with it, so I believe that's what it was.
No, you didn't. So as we were talking about, totally different Saturday to Sunday. What was your view of Robert? Because you could see him Saturday, I'm pretty sure, because he was up front.
Well, I only had a view of him for about 5 laps.
Was getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah, then he was gone. So, man, Robert, I've raced with Robert as long as I've been on dirt, so about 5 years now, and he's always been a top contender no matter where we've been. We actually travel a lot with Robert. We're always at big shows together and whatnot. Robert's a friend of mine, and he's always got his stuff right. So
he did. God, he had it so right.
Yeah, he
and
did.
man, once he got out there, you know, I pulled in there and I was like, man, we didn't have nothing for him. I said, man, he almost lapped you. You know, so we ran third and almost got lapped.
Don't feel bad, son. He almost lapped everybody.
Yeah,
he was working on lapping Jeff Roselle, and I'm a person that'll tell you I've known Jeff Roselle a while, and you don't put Jeff Roselle a lap down, generally speaking. You know,
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard Jeff Roselle having to run a B, and he had to run a B Saturday night. You know, he had a bunch of bad luck, but still, I mean, Elliott was just slaying them. He was just slaying them, honestly.
Man, that's nothing out of the normal for Robert, honestly. He's always got his stuff on point, and
right.
Man, if he shows up, man, that's.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No,
Steve and I were
I'm just. Go ahead.
Steve and I were talking about the fact that we were a little surprised that Jared Baird, the B4 car, he did well, don't get me wrong, but we kind of expected that he would do a little better because that's his track, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, you know, that was between him and Robert, you know, I'd seen both of them were there Friday. And I know Jared, you know, runs there quite a bit. I know he had a bounty on him last year.
Yeah.
And so I there, you know, and I talk to Jared too whenever I see him. And, you know, he goes on that track really good. I mean, obviously he's won a lot of races if you got a bounty on you there. So, but, man, I know Sunday he likes to run the bottom around the track, and it kind of didn't play into his favor because he got passed around the top in his heat race, so it put him further back in the feature.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he came up through there, and I'd say third place. So.
Right. He was having a little bit of trouble hurting the car. I mean, he was smoking a little. He had some valve stem seals bad or something, but, well, he was smoking a lot. But it obviously wasn't hurting the car at all because he was both nights just really good.
Yeah, no doubt.
I hate to just dominate the show here. I like to let my co-host end every once in a while, but I do want to go and ask you about take us through Cale Westover. I mean, where did you come from? When did you start racing? How long you been racing?
Man, I was 16 years old. And I've been racing motorcycles, motocross, since I was 8 years old, and we'd actually turned professional. And my dad always raced cars growing up, and I did the motorcycles. So we were in Dallas for my second professional race, and we walked out of the hotel one morning. Our truck, trailer, everything was gone. Everything got stolen.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was one of those deals. And, man, I actually got to live a normal life while we were waiting on new bikes and stuff. And we had a local asphalt track here in Altus, Oklahoma. And I told my dad, you know, I want to race a car. And, of course, he had been racing since he was 16 years old. I think he raced over 20 years, and he was all in for it. So about a week later, we had a asphalt super stock. I run it for about 4 years, and the asphalt scene's really died out, especially here in Texas. I mean, it's bad. There was like 8 of us in one class. You know, it just wasn't no fun to race anymore. So we bought a dirt car in 2012. And it's been all uphill from there.
Well, this probably has to be one of your favorite memories right now. Anyway, putting that away this weekend.
Definitely, yeah. We've I've won a couple 1,000 win, 2,000 win stuff at Wichita Falls. Last week we were in Humboldt. Actually, almost had that deal won, and caution killed me really. But man,
you were flying up there.
Man, the car was really good. You know, we've had a really good car this year. You know, really big thanks to Curtis Allen, Western Flyer Race Cars. He's definitely kept us on track. But man, really, it's the maintenance on these things more than anything. It's so easy to get off on trailing arm bushings, finding bent spindles. Man, you can barely tap a tire and the spindle's bent. People don't realize that stuff.
Right.
But definitely, Red River, Red Dirt Raceway. The track was, I'd never been there. It definitely has characteristic, you know, of the race at. Honestly, you know, most of them you're going to go to are perfectly level, pretty much perfect. You know, on that track you're going downhill on one side and uphill on the other, which I'd never been through. And that was awesome. And you know, and then for you guys to offer $100 to lead each lap, that's something completely different, you know, that we've ever raced with. You know, it gives somebody an opportunity to make $3,000, or, you know, 5 people to make, you know, $600 apiece.
Right.
Which was awesome. You know, I mean, I hope, you know, definitely in the future that as that deal comes back up.
I imagine it will. Damien, I imagine you've got a couple of questions for him.
Yeah, I just want to know if you're the one that had to buy the beer after $3,800 payday.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you know, Robbie, the car owner, 44 Drywall, that whole deal. Man, he's super fair to me. But yeah, definitely, I took them guys out and we went 8. I actually had to go to work Sunday night. We drove straight from the city, and I had to be at work. So I was actually about 30 minutes late to work, but of course my boss understood. So
priorities, man. Awesome. Priorities.
Yeah, he did. Man, Thursday night.
Hey, boss. I don't make $2,800 work for you in a day.
Exactly. I told him, man, I'm gonna be racing. I'm probably gonna be a little bit late.
Yeah.
So, man, I've got a really good company that I work for, and they definitely support the racing too.
That is great.
That's awesome. So take us a little bit through what 2018 is going to hold for you. Are you guys going to commit to a track? Are you going to commit to a series? Or are you just going to kind of bounce around a little bit?
Man, like I said, we got a modified. I actually had my freshman season last year in. We had 4 wins in the modified deal. We ran a lot with the Taub series. We had a lot of top 3s with those guys. The sport mod deal, we're going to Boot Hill next week for $5,000 to win. Salina High Banks the week after that for $5,000 to win. The beginning of April, we go to the Texas Motor Speedway for that deal. It's $1,000 to win each night. So we stay pretty hooked up with the sport mod deal as long as it's paying money. And when we're not running the sport mod, we'll definitely find modified stuff.
So
Cale, you mentioned Boot Hill. Remember what I was telling you about Boot Hill next weekend too? You might want to mention the series. They'll fix you up on that.
Say that again.
I said when you go to Boot Hill, you might mention the series. I think they're going to try to hook you guys up, maybe a free pit pass or something.
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
All right, Cale. Go ahead, Damien. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
What I was going to say is it's time for us to go to commercial. I don't want to go away totally from you yet. I want to come back and talk to you a little bit more. We're also going to get Robert Elliott on here, and if you don't mind, I don't care if you want to. You can stay on while Robert's on, and we can talk to both of you guys, and you can talk back and forth and everything. But we do need to pay the bills, so if you don't mind, we're going to take about a 1-minute commercial break.
Definitely.
Hello there, I'm Smiley Racing. I'll give you ideas about Smiley Racing products, what we have in the sprint car line. roughly 75 designs, everything you need from sprint car. But the most important thing we have is somebody that can help you with your problems all day, every day. We've got the parts you need to get going, the advice you need not to buy the wrong parts. Don't buy your parts on talk to a real person that does this all day, every day. I talk to more people in the industry on a daily basis. I'm talking about vendors, manufacturers, end users, team owners, and everything than anybody in the country. We'll continue to do that. That's how we got where we are. I've been doing this almost 60 years. I've done business with everybody in the industry, and there's not anybody in the industry that I can call to that up their latest stuff. Don't forget, for your sprint car needs, call Smiley. You can call and reach me directly anytime. We'll be looking forward to your call.
They get that way.
This week's show is sponsored by High Tech Tactical, Hoosier Racing Tire, Steve's Auto Machine, 41 Shocks, Knockout Graphics, Smiley's Racing Products, and FB Designs, Bulletproof Products, Donco Plumbing, and Schoenfield Headers.
I believe we're back. And of course, hey, gosh, I get back live, I get a coughing fit. Take over, Damien.
Yeah, so, Cale, we were kind of talking a little bit there during the break. You had mentioned that you come from a dirt bike background, and you told us the story of kind of how you got into stock car racing a little bit. Tell us a little bit about the transition. Was there anything you could carry over from your dirt bike days, and tell us a little bit about what it took for you to get comfortable racing in a whole new environment?
Yeah, definitely. It helped in a way, in a sense that we, on motorcycles you really don't have any fears jumping, anything like that, corner speed. So when I first got in a car, my dad pretty much threw me to the wolves. He didn't put me in a bomber or a mini stock or nothing like that. He put me in pretty much a late model, in a sense, with 8-inch tires.
Nice.
And
Wow.
I was driving it in the corner way too hard, which most people, have to gradually learn how deep they can drive the car in the corner. And I was actually driving it too hard in the corner. I spun out like my third night and backed it in the wall because I drove it in too deep. So it was really more easing off for me than it was anything.
Well, hey, I got to tell you, that's not bad if it took you 3 nights to back the car into the fence for the first time.
Yeah, my dad wasn't too happy about that, but it is what it is, I guess.
Right.
Looking back on, a lot of, you had mentioned that you would like to race a lot of different places, One race from earlier in your career that really sticks out, when you're telling that racing story, like, man, we had this race one night at such and such, man. Which one is that for you? Or was it last weekend?
Man, definitely these past 2 weeks I've had a lot of good runs in the past at big shows, ran a lot of top 10s, a lot of top 5s, but Humboldt in 2014 would be my favorite. We were at the Battle of the Bull Ring. It was the very first year they had run it, and I had to actually drive my way into the show. We were off one night. We had spun out. My dad had already counted me out. The car owner had already counted me out, and I told him, I said, hey, I'm going to make the show. And I started like 12th in the B, came up through and won it. And I think I started 22nd in the feature and came up to 5th. So that was really one of my biggest moments.
Wow.
And on top of that, in the B there wasn't a whole lot of passing going on, and with the Southern deal, them guys were hitting ruts and stuff. So I actually kept passing them guys when their cars were getting upset.
Now, of all these tracks that you've been to, which one's your favorite?
Man, Outlaw Speedway, when we were up in Muskogee with the high banks, man, I love that thing. I was around the top, right around the wall. I actually ran second on a 2,500 to win there a couple years ago to Kip Hughes. And, man, we were hauling the mail around the top of that track.
Wow. Well, man, I think Robert Elliott's going to be calling in here in just a second, man. I appreciate you calling in, and you're going to hang out with us, I understand. But,
yeah,
man, go ahead and thank those people that help you guys make it to all these races and keep that car out on the racetrack.
Yeah, Robbie in 44 Drywall, he pretty much picked me up off the side of the road when I was running these limiteds. I actually had a $800 car and a home-built motor when I first started on dirt, and he saw something in me. Gave me a shot, and I've been with him for the last 4 years. Curtis at Western Flyer, he stood behind me for the past, since I bought a car from him. David Tanner at Wichita Tank, Dennis Knowles at Knowles Performance, Dr. Michael Stephen Hayes, Ace Energy. They've been backing us for the past 3 years, and those guys don't hesitate to give us whatever we need. On Another Level Designs, they've been doing our wraps and do a nice job for the past couple of years. And Jimbo's Liquor, they come on last year, and they've been a lot of help also.
All right. Well, we appreciate you being on, and we hope you'll hang out with us for a little bit here. We'll get Robert Elliott on here, and we'll go another 100 laps if you don't mind.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Robert, are you on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Well, hello and good evening to Robert Elliott. He won the big feature Saturday night out at Red Dirt Raceway, the opening night for the Spring Nationals out there, and the very first race for the Sooner Limited Modified Series. Good evening, Robert, and welcome back to the show. You've been on with us before. Appreciate you being with us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
Are you outside?
I'm not, and it's not mine. Somebody sounds like it is.
So, as we were talking about, Saturday night and Sunday night were two totally different nights, almost two totally different tracks.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Difference from Saturday to Sunday was just 180 difference, but both good. I mean, good tracks, just a lot of difference between the two for sure.
Were you ready for the change Sunday? Did you anticipate it going dry slick like that?
Well, I think we were pretty good. We weren't. We didn't have the luck that we had obviously Saturday night, and things didn't click along, didn't draw as well, and whatnot. The track, I mean, as far as putting on a good race, it was as good. Just didn't quite play into our favor as much, but it was a good track.
Right.
And yeah, I want to talk about Saturday night a little bit.
Yes.
Sorry, yes. Saturday night, man, you put on one of the most dominant performances I've seen in a long time. I mean, you know, it was a clinic. You led every lap. I think you lapped up to 6th place, maybe. I think you were maybe right behind Heston Shaw, somewhere in that area. But take us through that Saturday night, man. I mean, you had your stuff working. I mean, what was, from a driver's standpoint, you know, when you got your stuff dialed in like that, is it just like being on cruise control, or was you having to fight it at all?
No, the car, that was, I'm driving Johnny's car Saturday night, and it was a brand new car. The first time it even been on the track was practice on Friday night, and man, it was just good right off. We didn't do a whole lot of changes at all to it, and fighting a little bit of motor problems, but didn't really bother it too bad until probably halfway through the show on Saturday night. But it just, man, it just worked good around the bottom, and really that was probably the fastest way around it. Anytime I've ever been there, it's kind of been around the bottom a little bit, so I kind of knew that going into it. But that deal just worked killer around the bottom, and the bad thing is the track is so small, and you hear cars all around you, and there's so much action going on that you have a hard time looking for a pit guy or somebody to tell you that you're way out, ease up, don't push it or whatever. And all you know is you hear motors and you're trying to just click every lap the same and make them all count. And really that's all we were doing. I mean, it's hard to tell where you're at when you run 20 laps or whatever we had without a caution. It's really hard to place where you're at. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, too, you don't want to. I mean, you know, you're coming up on lap cars quick, and you're trying to. If you do have a lead, you try to keep a little what you got in case you need it when you get slowed down or something. But no, it was a good car right out of the box for sure.
Now, you're talking about how, from a driver's standpoint, since they've shortened the track, you know, you're hearing cars all around you, and you've almost got to have that sprint car mentality. You know, you've got to drive that car just as hard on the last lap as you did the first lap, simply because you don't know how close they are. But we asked Cale the same question. I'd like to ask you, you know, new track configuration, it's definitely smaller, it's more racy. What are your thoughts about it?
You've raced it both ways. You've raced it both ways. You raced the old.
We run Meeker a lot before they done this.
Yeah.
I mean, I can remember running there in like '87 or '88. So we've run it a lot in the past. And I mean, I like it. I really liked it before. I thought that it had a lot of room on that big D shape on that back straightaway, and I really liked that. But I understand kind of why they done it. And you know, honestly, they're out there getting a little bit of time on it. They're putting on a good track, and honestly, I like a shorter track anyway. So I think they did good. I'd like to seen it have a good 2 grooves on Sunday, but you know, with the weather and the time change and all that, I know they did the best they could, and they had a good track.
What are your thoughts on these double file restarts? That's something that the series has started doing. Are you a fan of it? Do you prefer the single file approach more, or do you like the action that the double file provides?
Well, I guess it works both ways. You know, I mean, I really kind of like it because if you're leading the deal, it gives you your own lane, and then obviously the guys behind you are further. And if you're, you know, a 6th or 8th, it helps kind of move you up and bunch everybody up a little tighter and get you a little closer to the leader. So I really like it. I mean, we've run them quite a bit like that, and that's been pretty good.
What's on the agenda?
Well, we're gonna probably run Johnny's car on there this weekend, and then I've got a new car as well, or a pretty new car that probably bounce back and forth between the two. And honestly, as far as know where we're gonna be or whatever, we're gonna try to run all the Sooner stuff that we can, and I imagine we'll probably make it all, but we'll just kind of skip around and. For sure.
Sure. Okay. Well, it was great to have you on. Cale, you got anything for Robert?
No, man. I actually talked to Robert earlier on the phone before we called in.
Oh, well, you guys weren't supposed to do that. You're supposed to do that on the show. The fight in the straightaway, didn't you know?
Well, while we got you both on here, let's get a driver of coming into the sophomore season of this series. I know Robert's probably run a little bit more races than Cale has, but what do you guys think of this deal?
Go ahead, Cale.
Man, it's obviously something Oklahoma needed. You know, we didn't really have a series. We were having to travel other places to run a little bit of a series, and brings a little more to the say. So we're not having to go to Texas to run these series or any IMCA stuff. You know, the IMCA is really tough on us. We really don't run a whole lot of it, man. We get there, they start crying about your angle on your sail panels and just little stuff that really doesn't make a difference. So, man, we just like traveling, and the series is actually paying more than IMCA stuff, so that's why I enjoy it.
Robert, same question.
Yeah, I think they're doing a heck of a job. We run a lot of NCRA stuff, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, and man, we had a blast with that, traveling around and seeing tracks that probably would never have went to without it. And I think Steven's got some of the same stuff lined up for this year, and hard at it. And I mean, we appreciate that. It seems kind of dying a little bit, and for somebody to kind of show some interest in it, we we really appreciate it for sure.
Okay, next question. Hypothetical scenario. You guys can put both of yourself in this situation, okay? Last lap, you're door to door. You've been door to door with the guys fighting for the lead all race long. Turn 3 and 4. You have an opportunity. Do you dump him?
Definitely not me. Robert would agree. We've been in this situation quite a bit, I guess, especially at Lawton Speedway. I stole one from him, I don't know, maybe last year, and he stole a couple from me driving around me. So I like racing smooth and clean. If I want to win, I want to win it without touching the guy.
Definitely kind of race the way they race you, right?
Yeah, and I don't want to be beating outdoors and changing tires. So,
right.
What do you think, Robert? You're put in that situation. Guys been kind of leaning on you a little bit, kind of using you up a little bit. Do you take that shot coming out of turn 4?
Man, I don't. I'd rather run second than have a bunch of fans booing you for turning the guy around to beat him, and I don't want to do that. I mean, and Cale and me and Don, and I mean, a lot of those guys they're all good racers, and I mean, I want to run them hard and I want to beat them, but I'm not going to turn them around to do that. And definitely Cale knows that, and I know the same about him. We run a lot of close races, and if we can run first and second and not tear up a bunch of stuff, that's really so. But on the other hand, if somebody's rubbed me in the past, I sure don't forget it. It can be 10 years and I don't forget it.
That's the answer I was
A driver never forgets. Never forgets.
Jimmy Spencer's famous line.
Yep.
But it sounds like you guys have went door to door quite a bit over the years, man. Is there a moment for each one of you racing the other that kind of sticks out?
Not really. I mean, it's actually kind of often with me and Robert wherever we're at. If he ain't smoking me, we're probably door to door. So we both know we can sit there and run door to door with probably about 6-7 inches apart from each other and not touch each other. And that's what really makes it fun. You can get around a lot of these guys, man, and you pull up to their door, and next thing you know, your left side's ripped off, and them guys, I drove in too hard or something like that. And with Robert, you don't have to worry about that. He knows his limits, and I know mine.
Yeah, I agree 100%. We, Cale and I, we've run a bunch. Lawton deal sticks out the most, I guess, and we have a lot of fun down there on that little deal. There's a lot. Usually, if we're both there, we both end up fairly close to the front, and it's a lot of fun. He's good there, and just getting through the traffic and getting up there to run with him is, a lot of fun. I don't need to win a race or dump a guy to win it, and definitely wouldn't do it to a guy that's never done it to me. So me and Cale, we have a lot of fun, and he knows that I wouldn't, I'd race him clean, and he always gives me the same thing back, and I respect that.
Well, Robert, I asked Cale the same question a little while ago. I know you've raced all over the place, kind of like favorite track to run
at? Man, as far as what's open right now, I mean, we have a lot of fun at Lawton as far as a weekly show. Clinton is obviously in my backyard, so it's not open anymore, but it was always a nice run at. And Enid had a lot of success at Enid. I mean, we've just run over everywhere, and honestly, there's a smaller number of tracks that I don't like than the ones that I do. I like, if we can go race, it's a win for me.
Hey, real quick, Cody, if you're listening, you just might like to know that the chickens are back in the studio, sir.
Right. The chickens are back.
Well, you got anything for these guys, Larry?
Man, I'm so blasted right now with the background stuff that I can't even think.
How is that?
Because I keep hearing myself.
How is that?
That's better.
That's better. Okay. Wow, that is so much better.
Okay, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Do me a favor,
Apologize. We were feeding back for some reason.
Do me a favor, Robert, if you can hear me. You're muted for a moment. Can you turn down whatever volume you've got going on in the background? It's either television.
Yeah, if any of you guys have got Facebook on in the background, would you please turn it down because it's feeding back? And
that was the problem. It's Robert because he's the only one muted. Everybody else is still unmuted.
Check.
Uh-oh.
All right. We'll have to remind our guests in the future to turn their computer down before they call in.
You get started back. Don't have anything on.
I just wanted to say that it was a real pleasure to have both of you on the show. I always enjoy having guests that have a lot to talk about and know what they're talking about and have an obvious love of the sport. And I appreciate what both of you were saying there at the end about not dumping each other or not wanting to dump anybody.
Yes.
Because
yes.
I myself, I so much more appreciate watching a race where two guys run side by side, lap by lap, lap by lap, and it comes down to whatever it comes down to, but it doesn't come down to somebody putting another guy on the wall or somebody spinning somebody out in order to win. And I appreciate that, and I know race fans appreciate that, and just want to say thanks to both of you guys for being that kind of racer.
Yeah, I think you're definitely gaining a lot more fans by running clean and putting on a show for them, make them want to come back and try to see the same thing next week rather than, dumping somebody. I know there's a couple guys, especially at Lawton, they get bad about it, and they get to dumping each other, and but you can definitely tell the fans do not appreciate some of them guys.
Right. Well,
right.
And then it becomes a dump fest. You know what I mean? You dump me, now I got to dump you, and then he's going to dump, and, before we know it, it's just a demo derby. It's not racing anymore.
And then other people get collected to their mess, and so now you got three people against you. So, yeah.
Right.
And my dad is always, if I was ever to put a door on somebody or something, he's definitely threatened to take the car away from me or whatever.
Right.
He says, we don't drive like that.
Right. My dad, I got out of the car one night, and I was going to go after an old boy, and Dad was like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to go whoop his, and he said, no, you're not. You go sit here and calm down, and it'll be all right in about 10 minutes. Trust me. And he was right. I sat down there and calmed down, and in about 10 minutes, it was all right. I mean, it wasn't the end of the world. I was still pretty mad at him, but, he probably saved me going over there and getting my butt whipped is what he probably did.
Hey, once we got a moment here, I just want to thank you guys for coming out this weekend. I also want to huge congratulations to both of y'all. Y'all put on a great show, and I really do appreciate it. Absolutely, both of you. I mean, two great shows. You gave us a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
It's just awesome. The crowd. I know I speak for Slater and for all of the Sport Mod show when I say that we really, really appreciate that kind of racing, and it was great to watch. Great to watch. So
that chicken is it's making
I know
me laugh.
I got it. Robert, we want to let you get a chance to mention your sponsors before we take it to the house.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, quite well.
Yeah, I'm driving Johnny's car. We got a couple different guys on board and stuff. So, special thanks to Johnny for putting me in his car, and it's nice people. That. Has always helped us out a lot over at Western Flyer, and kind of get a bunch of feedback. He's been real good to us. Sundown Truck Services and Accessories. Tony's always been real good at helping out on the race car, and Bliss Concrete. Aaron Bliss, he goes to races with us all the time. And always been there ever since I can remember. So, shout out to him. Chris Schaefer at Big Boy, he's always done all mine and Johnny's wraps on all our stuff for probably the last 8 years. And he's always done a super, super good job. Samco's come on with Johnny's car this year, Samco Roofing Products, and I know Johnny's a big distributor for them there in Enid. So I think they've helped out a ton on the car. And, of course, Fine Roofing Supply, which Johnny owns, and Fine Roofing and Remodeling. So all them guys have done their part, and it showed. We had a good weekend. We had a lot of fun and learned a lot, and hopefully get better.
Right. Well, like I said, we appreciate you being on the show, and we hope to get both of you on again. Maybe it'll be after another win. I guess we'll see both of you on the 7th of April up at Enid.
Yep. I will actually be running Texas Twin 1001.
All right. Well, we'll just see Robert there then, and we'll see you the next time that you come to the track.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Thanks to both of you. Damian, anything else before we go?
No, just thanks for having me back. Feels good to be back on the show and back with DTRN. And you guys ain't doing anything this weekend. We are practicing again up at Enid Sunday. Gates open at noon. So hopefully we won't have 50-mile-an-hour winds, and we'll be able to provide a track that will hold a little bit of moisture. I think you guys had the same problem with it down there. But, yeah, gates open at noon. Come on out. If you need to shake the car down, come on out and practice with us.
Right. And Saturday, I will be in Greenville, Texas at Super Bowl Speedway with the Sooner Late Model Series. So if you feel like making a trip down to Greenville, Texas, I think that's about a 4-hour, 5-hour drive, something like that. Going to be some good late model racing down there. And what else? There was something else. Yeah, anyway. Stevie, what's going on with you this weekend?
Probably doing yard work.
Doing yard work, huh?
I got to get caught up and stay on top of that because here in about 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to be hitting pretty hard and heavy almost every week. So got to stay on top of it when I can, just to let everybody know. April 7th, we'll be back in Enid. And I believe the gates open at 5, race start at 7. The week after that, we're going to be at Super Bowl, so we'll be doing that just right after Enid, and we'll have a week off, and we'll be back at Ada. So we'll be pretty busy in April.
Right, and we'll be back next week with the radio show.
Yes, sir. We're going to try to go back since we're back on racing season. We are going back every week now, same time, same. So we're going to do 7 o'clock every Thursday.
Same bad time, same bad channel.
That's right.
All right. Shows my age there. Sorry. Well, that probably takes us just about to the end. Probably need to go over our sponsors for the series one more time. That's FB Graphics and Design, Hoosier Tires, Schoenfield Racing Headers, Knockout Graphics, Smiley's Racing Products, Bulletproof Products, John Co. Plumbing, TCC, Total Custom Carbs and Dyno, 41 Shocks, Steve's Auto Machine, High Tech Tactical, Images X2, and Ibex Race Bumpers. We thank each and every one of them. We thank each and every one of you for being with us and for listening and for putting up with our shenanigans. And we hope that you will tune in again next Thursday night for another Thursday edition of the Sooner Limited Modified Series radio show. Between now and then, I'm Larry Carr saying for Damian Bean and Steve Slater and Richie White, good night.
All right, buddy.